In 1945, an earthenware jar was dug up in a cave west of the Nile near the village of Nag Hammadi, Egypt. Contained in this jar were papyrus scrolls and codices wrapped in leather of biblical texts dating back to around 400 AD. Translations of these Nag Hammadi scrolls revealed a body of early Christian teachings that are considered to be Gnostic in character. In other words, these documents contained Gospels that had escaped censorship or revision by the Church of Rome. Unedited Gospels that in fact repudiated the authority of Orthodox Christian doctrine, posing a theological threat which clearly provided an imperative to keep them hidden from Roman clergy. Gnostic thought insisted upon direct and personal first-hand religious or mystical experience with deity, and vehemently rejected dogmas, creeds, and clerics, or any superfluous intercessors between man and God, an unwelcome posture for Vatican authority. In both the Middle East and South America, Gnostic shamanic adepts traditionally understood that ingesting certain psychoactive plants facilitated connection to the epinoia, the luminous hyperintelligence of the earth itself. A 2,000-year-old chronicle of data obtained by this method of communication with the Earth's consciousness was unearthed in Nag Hammadi, Egypt in 1945. And what follows is Sophia's story. The Nag Hammadi texts reveal a cosmic understanding that the brilliant light plasma at the central core of our galaxy is actually a sentient intelligence. Furthermore, Gnostic cosmology tells us the physical world we inhabit came into form as a creative expression of the intelligent plasma light or ether spiraling out from the galactic central sun, from the spinning planets of our solar system down to the myriad species that flourish on our globe. Even the smallest microbe exists as the creative play of material form, imagined and sustained by this sentient light. The Gnostic perception tells us that just as a biologist sees minute living creatures swarming in a drop of water through a microscope, the swirling galaxies, seen through an astronomer's telescope, are also living beings. The entire universe is a vast living consciousness with individualized nodes of living consciousness existing within it. In the most simplistic terms, the central sun of our particular galaxy is a living entity, intelligent light plasma. The arms that extend and swirl out from that central sun are like children of that core awareness. These plasma extensions reach out to the periphery of the galaxy where solid matter is formed, and this is where the play of material creation is acted out. These conscious extensions stretch out and form solid worlds and living beings in infinite variety to express their own individual dream of creativity. Planet Earth first originated as a metamorphosis of an intelligent stream of light plasma extending from the central sun. That stream of light was Sophia, a feminine emanation. Impulsive Sophia was so enraptured by her dream of creation that she plunged into the realm of physical matter alone, without her balancing male consort. In doing so, an accidental aberration occurred. Within Sophia's dream of creation was an ideal intention for living, intelligent creatures that would become humans. For that intention to properly manifest, it needed to blend with organic matter. However, in her brash, impulsive plunge, the sheer force of plasma outpouring impacted with inorganic matter, creating an aberrant species that could never properly manifest Sophia's vision for the human species. A portion of the original intention of Sophia's dream did successfully blend with organic matter, and proper humans came into being. Yet they were now challenged to confrontation with their aberrant cousins, who feed off the human life force. Ultimately, Sophia not only formed the Earth from her dream, she actually became Earth. By Gnostic reckoning, Sophia literally morphed into the living planet herself. Earth is Sophia. In other words, Earth is the living mother of all humanity. On May 10, 1971, the noted British astrophysicist and astronomer Sir Fred Hoyle called a news conference and made the following startling announcement. Human beings are simply pawns in a great game being played by alien minds which control mankind's every move. These alien minds come from another universe, one with 5 dimensions. These super-intelligent entities are so different from us that to apprehend them or to describe them in human terms is impossible. They have been here for countless eons, and they have probably controlled the evolution of Homo sapiens. All of what man has built and become was accomplished because of the tinkering of these intelligent forces. These lost Gnostic Gospels, however, contain more than Sophia's creation myth. They reveal an exotic description of alien interference with the human species that serious religious scholars dismiss as mythological science fiction. A fantastic and disturbing description of cosmology that exposes an intrusion upon Earth humanity by malevolent, parasitic, extraterrestrial invaders, who use Earth humans as puppets in a vast, centuries-old game of deception and domination. And how do the Gnostics describe these invaders? Referred to as Archons, they come in 2 distinct types: an aggressive reptilian humanoid and smaller, passive creatures resembling a prematurely formed fetus. The astounding research into Gnostic mystery teachings by author John Lash in his extraordinary book, Not in His Image, may hold the key to unlocking the riddle of ancient extraterrestrial interaction and interference with human evolution. Bizarre as it may seem, a solution to the most baffling enigma of our time was fully elucidated in sacred writings almost 2,000 years ago. In the matter of the ET UFO enigma, the Gnostics were ahead of everyone today, way ahead. The Nag Hammadi material contains reports of visionary experiences of the initiates, including first-hand encounters with inorganic beings called Archons, beings that emerged in the solar system prior to the formation of Earth. Over time, an aggressive, masculine, reptilian leader, not unlike the biblical Satan, emerged. Arrogant by nature, this demiurge deems himself to be at the center of creation, Lord of all he beholds. Gnostic texts state plainly that demiurge is insane, a demented god or impostor deity, and he works against humanity. Gnostics warn that we coexist in a planetary system with a demented entity who can access our world through our minds. The demiurge of the Old Testament is an arrogant pretender who claims that humans are made in his image. These 4 words are the corporate motto of patriarchy. Branded on the human soul, made in his image, signifies the total enslavement of humanity to an alien, off-planet agenda. Gnostics taught that these entities envy us and feed on our fear. Above all, they attempt to keep us from claiming and evolving our inner light, the gift of divine intelligence within. Archons are an alien force that intrudes subliminally upon the human mind and deviates our intelligence away from its proper and sane applications. They make us play out our inhumane behavior to weird and violent extremes. Archons are psycho-spiritual parasites. Gnostics detected the humanized face of the Archons in all authoritarian structures and systems that deny authenticity and self-determination to the individual. According to Gnostic perception, Jesus, if mortal at all, had been a prophet of amor, the principle of love, and amor, when inverted or perverted into power, became Roma, Rome, whose opulent, luxurious church seemed to the Gnostics a palpable embodiment and manifestation on earth of Rex Mundi's sovereignty, Rex Mundi being the Archon Lord of the material world. As such, Gnostics came to regard the Christian cross as the emblem of Rex Mundi, an icon of domination and control. Threatened by the growing popularity of these Gnostic ideas, Pope Innocent III launched a holy war in 1209 to eradicate such poisonous heresies. The roots of Gnosticism reach far back to the mystery schools of ancient Egypt. Yet halfway around the world, awareness of the Archons could be traced to the mystic seers of ancient Mexico as well. Consider these insights shared by Yaqui Indian shaman Juan Matus from Carlos Castaneda's book, The Active Side of Infinity. We have a predator that came from the depths of the cosmos and took over the rule of our lives. Human beings are its prisoners. The predator is our lord and master. It has rendered us docile, helpless. If we want to protest, it suppresses our protest. If we want to act independently, it demands that we don't do so. Indeed, we are held prisoner. They took us over because we are food to them, and they squeeze us mercilessly because we are their sustenance. Sorcerers believe the predators have given us our systems of beliefs, our ideas of good and evil, our social mores. They are the ones who set up our dreams of success or failure. They have given us covetousness, greed, and cowardice. In order to keep us obedient, meek, and weak, the predators engaged a stupendous maneuver. Stupendous, of course, from the point of view of a fighting strategist, a horrendous maneuver from the point of view of those who suffer it. They gave us their mind. The predator's mind is baroque, contradictory, morose, filled with fear of being discovered any minute now. Sorcerers of ancient Mexico reasoned that man must have been a complete being at one point, with stupendous insights, feats of awareness that are mythological legends nowadays. And then everything seems to disappear, and we have now a sedated man. What I'm saying is that what we have against us is not a simple predator. It is very smart and organized. It follows a methodical system to render us useless. Man, the magical being that he is destined to be, is no longer magical. He's an average piece of meat. John Lash further cautioned, Gnostics, who directed the mystery schools of the Near East in antiquity, taught that the true mind of human beings is part of the cosmic intelligence that pervades nature. But due to the intrusion of the Archons, this native mind, or native genius, can be subverted and even occupied by another mind. First-century Gnostic scholars would be horrified by modern technology and the rise of artificial intelligence, recognizing it as the unmistakable Archon bid for total subjugation of the human race. In fact, the recent mass media debut of Robot Sophia, now an honorary citizen of Saudi Arabia, masks a cunning insult to Aeon Sophia, creator of the natural world. An act of Archon defiance that foreshadows vengeful assimilation of all planetary life into a mechanized dystopia. Colonel Philip Corso, former National Security Advisor to President Eisenhower, issued a cryptic warning in his 1997 publication, The Day After Roswell, about how the microchip components allegedly recovered from the Roswell UFO crash debris may have served as an alien Trojan horse. Computers themselves almost became something like a silicon-based life form, inspiring the carbon-based life forms on planet Earth to develop them, grow them, and even help them reproduce. Maybe the Roswell crash was also the mechanism for successfully implanting a completely alien, non-human life form that survives from host to host, like a virus, a digital Ebola, that we humans will carry to another planet someday. Or, what if an enemy wanted to implant the perfect spying or sabotage mechanism into a culture? Then the implantation of the microchip-based culture into our technology by the EBs would be the perfect weapon. Could it not be argued that the silicon wafers we recovered from Roswell were the real masters and space travelers, and the EB creatures their hosts and servants? The Nag Hammadi material contains reports of visionary experiences of the initiates, including first-hand encounters with inorganic beings called Archons, beings that emerged in the solar system prior to the formation of Earth. Lash also states that originally the Archons had no habitat, but swarmed around like an insect colony blown savagely across interstellar space. Seeking a host, these inorganic parasitic entities attach themselves to Earth like an infestation of lice, not unlike Ray Kurzweil's nanoparticles. In Gnostic terms, the replication of nature in lifeless form exemplifies archonic simulation. Archons cannot originate anything, but they can imitate, copy, duplicate. Their mimetic capacity is called fantasia, to distinguish it from the real-life animating power of higher spiritual entities called aeons. The Archon Lord, Yaldabaoth, is called the counterfeiting spirit. The celestial mansions he contrives are called stereoma, a stereometric projection like a holograph of a living thing. The holographic image is not alive, but it can represent a copy of something that is. Using the Coptic word hal, simulation, Gnostic cosmological texts explain that the many-mansioned heaven of the demiurge is a virtual cosmos, a virtual reality world. The cosmos of the Archons is not a viable human habitat, and cannot be. The Archons who inhabit the planetary system are aliens in our realm. Yaldabaoth's world is merely a simulation. And indeed, Gnostics recognized humans were prisoners in a virtual reality world of Archon invention. As such, we must remember, artificial intelligence is also a counterfeit imitation of something real. Returning to the Gnostic perspective, Goddess Sophia's dream of creation is still a work in progress. Author John Lash states, "Humanity cannot find its way to alignment with Sophia without mastering the problem of extra-human predation. Whence comes evil? Are we alone? If we cannot get clear on our relation to our cousin species, who are so deeply implicated in the scenario of terrestrial evolution, how can we possibly realize our membership in the cosmic community at large?" The first step to liberation from this alien control is to unmask the deception. The Gnostics fully understood this truth 3,600 years ago. The stupendous success of this alien invasion has been its ability to function in absolute secrecy and seduce the human mind with artificial systems of beliefs, to convince us that we live our lives at the mercy of circumstances and events that exist outside of ourselves. For centuries, this belief, like an insidious mantra, has been drilled relentlessly into our psyches from the cradle to the grave. We have been duped into seeing ourselves as victims, and so we become victims. The Gnostics remind us that the world we see today does not show the face of true human, but rather the insane, homicidal face of the manipulating Archon madness that distorts it. Perhaps humanity now confronts its ultimate destiny, to awaken from this artificially induced nightmare and reclaim the divine power within that has always been our true cosmic birthright. As author and UFO researcher George C. Andrews states, humanity now has the opportunity to rid itself of these other-dimensional extraterrestrial parasites. An ever-increasingly widespread realization of the true nature of this predatory game is what will bring about liberation.